Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate you taking some time out of your very busy day, because I know, as we just said a moment ago, you are really busy. And that's fantastic. So, Kirsten, your business, Stat Admin Solutions. Yeah, we want to get into a little bit about what got you into the VA space and how you've grown your business, because we know you have. So tell us, how long ago or when did you launch your business?
I registered and launched in 2021. So
Right.
years ago.
Was it the end of 2021? I think so, wasn't it?
It was September.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, fantastic. Yeah. Gosh, time goes quickly, right? Seems like just yesterday to me. And so now what we're looking at, that's 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Gosh, 3 years. Okay, so tell us basically, like, what was the reason for you getting started in and looking into getting started as a VA?
Yeah. Look, I probably wasn't so much chasing my dream with this as maybe running from a nightmare. um, I'd worked in public and private health for decades without giving too much away. It got to the point where I was really jaded in what I was doing. At that point, I was working in a public health service, and two things happened that caused me to really reevaluate where I was and what my future was going to look like. Firstly, I had a family member who had a serious health crisis and needed me around. So I went and spoke to the admin manager at the time, and she just went, "Oh, I'm sorry, but no." So that was the first really big nail in the coffin of that role. And then my beautiful manager, who was just not the admin manager, my immediate manager in the unit, was promoted up and elsewhere off site. And the next person that came in was not so beautiful. Quite frankly, she was a bit of a horror show, and she was quite mean to me, and I just went, I don't have to do this. There's got to be something better. So I jumped on a quick Google and said, what can I do that uses my skills? The happiest I'd ever been in a role was when I was working remotely back in the early 90s. I had a remote admin job, and then I was doing some consulting on the side. And I loved that. I loved that lifestyle and that flexibility, even if it meant, packing up a fax machine and a PC and a big chunky monitor and a car phone. I had to plug in. I know, that was the VA life back then. We didn't know it. We didn't call it that, of course. Wow. And I was employed under contract for those roles. But yeah, so I thought, how can I get back to that? So Googled, I kept coming across this term, this VA. I'm like, oh, what's that?
What is it? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what got me started.
That's amazing. Actually, I don't think I remember hearing that from you about your 90s experience. You are actually an early adopter of technology. You are an early VA. An early VA. How about that?
Man, I had the longest phone cord to be able to plug in anywhere I went.
Oh, that's so funny. Gosh.
So yeah, the text changed and improved.
Oh dear. So that's so funny. So in terms of getting started, and I remember when we launched, because we did the program together and we did it over Zoom, which was really great. So when you kind of kicked off, you had a little bit of a plan, which was to sort of stay in the workplace for a while, wasn't it? So talk a little bit about that and what actually did end up happening.
Yeah. So I thought that I could do this as a side hustle and still work 4 days a week in the workplace. And really quickly decided that that wasn't going to work. I thought that it would take a really long time to build my VA business, and it just didn't. It took off immediately almost. And I know that's not everybody's experience, but I felt like I was really fortunate in that I was really prepared and I was set up, ready to go. I had everything I needed and I knew who I wanted to work with. And it was just a matter of going out and finding them. And luckily for me, that happened. And so I then very quickly needed to have a conversation
I
in
remember.
my workplace about walking out the door and potentially never coming back.
I remember the email from you. I've just quit
Yeah.
my job, which was like not the plan.
No,
And
it was not the plan.
so funny. But it's actually it's more common than what you think, really, because people don't realize how quickly it can grow. And you know, you go from one client to two clients, and all of a sudden it becomes, whoa, okay, I really need to consider my life choices at this point.
Yeah. It
So,
became really obvious to me that if I was doing this alongside my employed role, I was only going to be able to take it so far. And I wanted this to be my full-time gig at
yeah,
some point. I didn't want to try and juggle the two. And it very quickly became a matter of, if I want to see this vision to fruition, I couldn't
yeah,
continue to work in my job. So
yeah, yeah. And look, you know, it's nice to be able to have that, I think, low risk strategy to begin with. But like you said, you soon realize that you got to do something to actually allow yourself to grow and take those roadblocks out of the way. So let's talk about, how did you get your first clients? How did that happen?
so I did have the good fortune of being able to work with a former colleague for a little bit. At that stage, you know, we were very much doing a mates rates kind of deal. um, but my first real client I got through Find a VA,
No,
which was really nice. And that
good.
process was, yeah, it was really simple. And my second client I also got through Find a VA. And so that really gave me the kickstart that I needed. And I just found that process so much easier than applying for a job, which is what, you know, we're used to. Yeah, it was lovely. So yeah, it was quite a simple start, really.
And that's good. I mean, I love to hear that we were able to provide you with your links to your first client. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. That makes me feel
Yeah.
really cool. So tell me about like your ongoing strategy now with finding clients. Is there some sort of a strategy that you have implemented that's made it a simple process for you?
Yeah, look, for me, the majority of my clients now come through word of mouth and through Facebook groups and social media, despite the fact that I'm not amazing and I don't post as often as I should. I'm getting better. I'm definitely getting better, and it does pay off when I do it, I've got to say. But yeah, definitely having clients and even former clients still making recommendations to people in their networks and getting myself out there. I attend local networking groups for my industry and yeah, lots of VA spaces as well, because you just never know where, you know, who knows who
Yeah,
might need
yeah.
somebody. So
Which really kind of leads into that whole conversation about community and connection as being a really important part of running a business, would you say?
so important. It really is. And even to the point of my clients' referrers who are referring people to them, once they start to have that conversation and say, oh, you know, wow, you're lucky you've got Kirsten. And then my clients will say, oh, well, you know, you can have it too.
That's nice.
That's nice, yeah. Because, you know, I work with health professionals and like the VA industry, it's a really collaborative space. And so, yeah, and forming those connections has been absolutely paramount
Yeah.
to my growth.
And like in the 3 years, you've done a lot in terms of connecting and building connections for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very much.
So tell me a little bit about, I mean, I know you because we work together, but tell me how that was from your point of, like reference in terms of getting started. How has that sort of contributed to your getting up and running?
Yeah, so I'd been in business a really long time ago, a completely different space. And I'd found it really difficult, even though I bought an established business. At that stage, I found it really difficult to just get over those sort of legal hurdles and know what I needed to do. So I was given really good advice by a VA coach over in the UK, actually, about how to find somebody locally that could help me. And voila, I came across you. Said I filled in your contact form. I think I just kind of said, "Hey, I think I want to do this, but what do I do?" And you called me back, which I so appreciated. And going through that startup program and coming out the end with absolutely everything I needed was pivotal, because I had that confidence to be able to talk to people, and I had my checklists and all the steps and what I needed to talk about when I first spoke to a potential client. I had templates, and I knew what needed to go in my professional profile, what I had to put in a cover letter. I had an airtight service agreement. So I wasn't left floundering and anxious about the process.
Yeah.
And for me, like, I'm an admin professional. Processes are everything. So that really, I was so reassured by just being able to tick that final box. We did our final session, and I knew that I had every single tool that I needed to get going. And that's what gave me such a strong start.
Even your beautiful logo that you got behind you.
Even my beautiful logo came from the startup program.
Oh, I love your logo, actually.
So do I.
The
So do I.
colours are
We would
great.
never have come up with something so pretty.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. So good to have the website and logo as that final piece of the puzzle, really.
Yeah, and the
Awesome.
website's been great, I've got to say. I kind of thought that it would be there as something to give me a bit of legitimacy.
Yeah.
But the number of contacts that I've had come through my website and through just a Google search has been surprising. And
that means SEO is working. Yay.
Yeah, go SEO. I don't understand it, but go.
Yeah. No, that's so good.
I'm glad that the team does.
No, it's good. That's exactly, it's really important to have those key elements in place. And, if you don't have them when you start, you eventually will want to have them. So why not have them all at the beginning and have it all out of the way to get started? So tell me, Kirsten, and, I know this is going to be we sort of covered it a little bit, but, in terms of your life, how has running your own business actually changed your life?
Oh, it's changed it completely. I'm able to be around for my family whenever they need me to be. I can choose who I work with. So I no longer have to have awful people in my life telling me what to do. My clients are wonderful. So because we work together, I don't work for them. And we have those really respectful relationships. If I need to take time away, then it's not a matter of asking permission. It's just a matter of saying, okay, this is what I need to do, and this is what I've put in place for you. So yeah, it's been absolutely game-changing for me and for my family. We've had, like everybody does, we've had some hurdles over the last few years that just would have been insurmountable if I was still in an employed role.
Yeah.
But we've been able to navigate those really quite easily, and it means I get to spend time with my beautiful grandson, and you know,
We've
all of
seen him
those.
on a few calls.
Yeah, if he can see a camera, he's his own favourite person, he's there.
Oh, as we say, in the VA world, we deal with kids, animals, cats
Yeah.
walking across the screen. Oh dear, it's a funny
Yeah.
place to be. Now
It is.
that's amazing, fantastic. So if anyone was to walk up to you today and say, you know, what advice do you have if I'm looking at getting started, what would you say?
I would tell them to do it. I would say, you know, don't hesitate. Although it's not for everybody.
Mm.
And I think we probably need to make that point, is that it's not going to suit everybody. But I think if someone's at the point where they're thinking about it, they're halfway there.
Yeah.
But I would definitely not recommend somebody trying to do it on their own. I think there are a lot of things to consider. And, you know, I've worked in, I was a paralegal in business law many moons ago. So I thought I had a pretty good grounding there, but there are just so many contingencies that you don't think about. And I think having somebody there to hold your hand, to talk to you through all of those, and to have thought about those things and experienced those things and jumped the hurdles before us, I think is really important. So I would definitely say, don't be frightened.
Mm.
There's lots of work out there. Now is a fantastic time to be a VA, because it's really, we're becoming such a force out there in the business support world, and it's such a well-respected industry now. That, yeah, don't be afraid, but do it properly, get the help, get set up properly. So you can go through and know what your value is, and be prepared.
Yeah, that's great advice. Well, on that note, thank you so much for your time, Kirsten. I will pop your website information on this when it goes up on our YouTube and across our socials. So I'm sure that you, if someone wants to reach out to you, get in touch with Kirsten via her website. I'm sure she'd be happy to chat. But yes, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. And yeah, we love speaking with you. So thank you. It's always a pleasure.
You too.